Hello and welcome to the final edition of the very first season of the Digicel Business Masterclass series. I'm your host, Terry Carell, and it is always a pleasure having you tune in. What can I say? What an inspirational and exceptional series we have had, not just for young professionals and entrepreneurs and business-minded people, but everyone and anyone who really wanted to grow and improve both personally and professionally. Today is also the very final day that you can register for the mentorship program. Now, in case you're asking, Terry, what mentorship program are you talking about? Digicel Business and the JMEA partnered, and they will be selecting 12 lucky entrepreneurs for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is a one-on-one, one-hour session, mentorship session with some of the top business leaders in Jamaica, those who have come right here on the Digicel Business Masterclass stage, as well as others that we have identified, and they have agreed to give of their time. Now, how do you sign up? Very easy, and it's also free. Visit digicelbusiness.com and ensure that you have not only signed up the application form, but also ensure that you have registered for the Digicel Business Masterclass series via Webinar Jam. The very third and last step is to ensure that you are following the Digicel Business page on LinkedIn. Again, today is the last day, so if you have not registered, please hurry up, and I wish you all the best. So we also want to remind you, we always look forward to your questions. So ensure that you're sending in your questions and make sure that you use the hashtag Digicel Masterclass, hashtag Digicel Business. So let's get into it. Over the last 6 weeks, we have had some of the best masters of business pass through, and they have shared invaluable insights, and they've also shared their thought leadership in the hopes that it will help you on your journey, no matter what stage or phase you are in. And so the question became, who could possibly bring down the curtains? Who could possibly be the last guest? And I want to tell you that last is a position that this man does not know of. It is not in his vocabulary. He needs no introduction, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. He is a business master, but he's also a champion, literally. And we have seen him transition from being a pro athlete to being a serious entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. So he is the Honorable Usain St. Leo Bolt, Chief Speed Officer for Digicel, the world's fastest man and probably the most recognizable athlete in the world, period. Music and real estate entrepreneur, actor. I'm going to drop in actor because the man is a full-fledged actor as well. He's highly sought out. He's also the face and spokesperson of some of the world's biggest brands. And probably he's taken on the biggest role of his life. What is that role? Come now, man. Daddy. He's now a daddy. So when we looked at his life and we looked at his transition, the person who could only come and speak to us about discipline and motivation had to be Sir Usain Bolt. So get your pens, get your paper ready, because class is now in session. How are you doing, sir?
I like that. Class is in session.
Class is in session. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
It's good to see you, your velour and your jacket, and you're looking really
try,
good.
Try.
No, I haven't seen, maybe the last time I saw you in person was like about 3 years ago. Yes. I bought 15 of the Usain Bolt magazines, and I drove around with it in my trunk for 3 years for you to sign.
Yeah, what?
Them not signed yet, but we're going to get to the bottom of that today, right? No, but welcome. Before I jump into the questions about, motivation and discipline, congratulations on being a daddy. This is my opportunity to tell you in person. What is the biggest lesson you have probably learned now being a dad?
Patience. For me, I was very short of patience. That's one of the main reasons I said I would never go into coaching. But I've learned that now you have a child, you really have to be patient with them. You understand? They want what they want, and they will cry for what they want. So I have to have patience and just understand.
Nice. And were you nervous about being a father, first of all, and has that transitioned for you?
I'm still nervous. I think I've always just been nervous because I'm responsible for a life now. So I think I'm just always nervous, always slightly worried now about everything. I always try to be on my P's and Q's, but I'm getting used to it. Yes. I think I'm getting better. I think the older she gets, I'm getting less stressed.
Right, right. And trust me, parenthood, it doesn't come with a manual and as you go along. But as you say, a pro is always a pro. Now, you heard me talking about, even in how we introduce you, you have a lot of accolades, a lot of achievements. Is this where you envisioned yourself when you were the young boy back in the day, growing? Is this what you saw for yourself?
Definitely not. Growing up, for me, I knew I was going to end up in sports. That's one thing, because I loved every sport, so I knew I was going to end up in sports. But to be at this level, doing so many things, not a chance.
Nice. So you entered into the world of athletics, right? You are going to be a runner. Did you always appreciate that you had to be this disciplined in order to reach the level that you're at now?
Well, it took me a while. It took me a while to really understand what it takes to be a champion. When I started, I was so talented when I was younger. I didn't really need to train. I was so good at just by being me. Understand? So when I transitioned to actually being a professional now, where there's all professionals and they work to get where they need to be, I did not understand that. So I started out at the bottom of the pile, and I stayed there for a while because I didn't understand the work and the discipline it took for me to get to the top. It was after a few years of struggling and going back and forth. And then when I joined with Glenn Mills, my coach, he really sat me down and explained to me, listen, everybody on the circuit has to work hard to get here, because everybody's talented.
Correct.
So if you want to be the best, it's who works the hardest and who's most disciplined, who's going to get to the top. So that was when I really started to understand that if I really want to be the best, I have to really get disciplined and focus and work.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your honesty. And while you were working out the struggles, you said, boy, you're at the bottom of the pack, and it's not like you just woke up and said, okay, I can be disciplined. While you were transitioning into, but I'm a natural born talent, to, wow, I actually need to work to ensure that I get to that level and stay at that level. Was there any point where you were just like, yo, maybe, this is not, I don't need this. Was there ever a point that you're taken to that edge?
No. For me, it was hard, but it was something that I enjoy doing. Understand? I really enjoy running. Didn't enjoy training that much, but I really enjoy the competition and stuff. So for me, it was never, I wanted to give up. It was just a matter of me figuring out what I actually needed to do to get to the level where I needed to get to.
And in getting to that level, did you have to not only change your mindset, but even maybe people around you? I mean, I think for the persons who might be watching, they may be saying, okay, yeah, man, discipline, cool, I need to do it. But what were some of the things that you had to change?
For me, it's definitely, most people know me. I love to go out and to party and just to hang out with friends. So I had to learn to understand that I had to stop hanging out with my friends all the time. And as I say, you have to change a few people, because a lot of people, they don't understand. So they're always trying to tell you, oh, let's go, let's do this, let's do that. So I had to change a few people who you have to always tell them, no, I have training in the morning.
Correct.
You understand? And I had to drop that, stop drinking as much and stuff like that. So I had to stop a few things. I had to start sleeping more, getting a lot more rest. So for me, I had to change a few things before it really got going.
It's interesting when you said some of the persons you had to drop. Like, I know, and all of us who follow you and have followed your journey, we know NJ being like your brother, you are his son's godfather. Whenever it comes to business, discipline, motivation, success, getting to the top, people say, yo, you can't mix your friendship with your business. People say sometimes, you may have friends, but they're not necessarily good from a business and a management standpoint. How were you able to use your discernment to know that NJ is not just your brethren and he's not just a friend, but he could really step up in a way that you needed to get where you are now?
For me, surprisingly, first thing, we grew up together from 3 years old. So for me, we knew each other. I think what makes it work is that we grew up the same way. You understand? We had the same principles and the same drive and the same goals. And it's one person throughout my entire, we went to different, when I came to Kingston, he was still in the country. And then he came to Kingston, but he went to a different college. You understand? But we always kept communicating and making sure we're on top of things. He always check on me when I get my injuries. And he was always somebody that always motivated me. Through all my injuries, like, don't worry, champ, you'll be fine, man. I believe in you. So it's something that was always going along. And the surprising thing that a lot of people don't know, NJ is actually a teacher for history. He's actually a teacher. And I remember when I called him, I was like, NJ, you know what? I feel like you should come work for me. And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about business. Like, yo, you have to learn somehow.
Right.
And that's how it really started. He didn't know anything about business then because I know the work, I know who he is.
And you could
the
trust
mindset.
him.
Yes, and we grew up together for so long. I say, you know what? Come join my team and help me to build an empire. And he says, all right, I'm willing. And he just came and learned, and he has helped me to build so much throughout the years.
And you guys have not looked back. I think it's always interesting, and even when we speak to some of the most successful people in the world, they've always said that the people who you have in your corner is extremely important. And so I always wanted to know if you just always knew the right people to have around you, and how it is that you had that discerning, that eye, that vision.
For me, I would say NJ definitely, but I would say I just lucked out really when it comes to the rest of the team. For me, because I had a coach before Glenn Mills, but when I met Glenn Mills, we just clicked. My agent, from the first day we met again, clicked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and my masseuse, which helped me also, which Eddie, I had a masseuse before, didn't work out, but as soon as I met Eddie, it just clicked. So for me, I got so lucky to find the right set of people at the right time.
The universe conspired for you.
So everybody came together at the right time and started to work with me pretty much when I got to the point where I said, you know what, I want to be a champion. This is what I want to do. And everybody just came together at the right time.
Brilliant. You spoke about having a masseuse, and you spoke about your team, and like Glenn Mills, a part of being an athlete, especially an athlete on your level, injuries.
Yeah.
Injuries is a part of the thing, especially when you're training, you have to go hard. And injuries can sometimes take a while. And not only that, even in the recovery period, it can be depressing. You don't know if you're going to come back. You don't know if you're going to compete at the level you're at. How did you manage to stay motivated despite the different kinds of injuries you experienced over the years?
For me, I must say, at the start, again, it comes back to Glenn Mills. I remember getting injured before the World Championship and stuff like that, before I actually started working Glenn Mills. All they were saying, oh, you just need to go to the doctor. But when I actually got to Glenn Mills, he normally sits me down and says, listen, we need to figure out what's your main problem. And I have scoliosis, which is a curvature at the back.
Right.
So he said, we figured that out, and he says, all right. And he always tell me, there's a problem, there's always a solution. So don't worry about it and just focus. We know what we need to do, and we just get it done. So he always says, figure out the problem, and then figure out the solution, and then get it done.
And you just found his approach was just so much better in terms of finding.
It was just really simple and easy. You know, if you have a problem, figure out a solution and get it done. I know sometimes it might be hard, but you have to get it done.
Nice. So we spoke about Glenn Mills being able to figure out, like literally, what it is you needed. How do you keep the mind intact? The mind that likes to tell you, yo, this not gonna work out, you know you're not gonna be the same thing like you were last time. You think you was a top dog, you mash up now, you know. How do you keep those kinds of thoughts in check?
I think I have the great set of people around me. As I said, it's good to have a team. People who are in your corner who want the same thing that you want. You know what I mean? Because, as I said, there were thoughts in my head that saying, are you going to be as good? Are you going to be as fast? You know what I mean? But there was always a team around and said, don't worry, man. You're going to be good. We know what we're doing. Training is good. You're looking better. Just give it time and push on. And for me, to have people motivating me like that, it really helps. You know what I mean? So for me, that's how I kept on going and moving forward.
Very nice. I like that. I like the fact that you spoke about your great and your strong support system.
Yes.
Let's talk about media and how you're laughing. You're just like, oh. Let's talk about media and even naysayers, how they're very amplified. Social media makes a platform for everybody to have an opinion.
Right.
Nobody knows how hard you work and what you do in the hours that they're sleeping, possibly. How do you know, you have your bubble, you have your persons who keep you back, you have your back. But then how do you know fight those mental fights when you have all of these persons who saying things that maybe they don't even know about?
The good thing, one thing about social what I've learned over the years, I remember when I was younger and I went to the 2005 World Championship, and I made it to the finals, but I got an injury in the finals, and I crossed the line. I remember a certain person that I won't call name went on a talk show and saying, "Oh, he sold out Jamaica. They must have paid him. Why didn't do this?" And for me, I was probably 19.
Yeah, man.
For me, that bothered me. really bothered me because I say, you know what, I've always tried to do my best for Jamaica. I always tried to make my country so proud.
Yeah.
So that bothered me really. And after really sitting down and talking to coach, because you have to understand, people are going to say whatever they want. They will, no matter how hard you try, if you try to do it for them, you will never succeed. So I've learned to not do it for people, but do it for myself.
Aye.
That's how I block out everything that goes on around me, because I'm not doing it for you. You understand? I'm doing it for myself. You know what I mean? And I'm pushing hardest. I work hard. As I said, sleepless nights. I have to wake up early, which I hate.
Not a morning person.
Exactly, exactly. But I actually do it for myself. So I know what I'm doing. So even if I get injured and I say, oh, he's not injured, I know different.
Right.
You understand? So I don't make that bother me. And most importantly, I just stay off social media.
Right.
As much as possible. If I know something is going on, they're going to talk, I just ignore social media and just avoid it. Most of my information is from my team. My team will come and say, you see this or you see that. But I just stay as far as possible away from it.
And it's interesting how maturity works, see? How when you're naive and you're new to something and you're inexperienced, you're green, how a lot of things can actually affect you.
Sure.
But then you kind of realize, and I've realized the older I've gotten, is that it's the people who are not even in the stadium. They didn't even buy tickets to sit down as spectators. They're usually the ones outside of the stadium who don't have a clue of what is going on. So it's important to figure out what to filter, what to take, and what to let go. Sure. You just mentioned that you're not a morning person. So let's talk about the discipline side now. You just say, I have a routine. We know how Coach Glenn Mills stay, you know. If it's A, it's A. You are not a morning person, and yet you had to do it. Talk to me about that discipline now, and you going through it, and then does it become easier? Like the higher you climb, do you now say, all right, sir, coach, me now get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, me I come about 8?
It doesn't get easier, you know what I mean? I understood. I set goals for myself every year, you know what I mean? Every season, I set goals for myself, so I know what I want. And I always sit down with coach, we have a meeting, a general meeting before the season starts. And we talk about what we want, what is needed to get to that level, and how we're going to get there. So for me, that's how it starts. I put that in my head and I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. So when I get on this, every morning I wake up, I was like, all right, you want to be Olympic champion? Just get up out of the bed? No. And I just get up. You know what I mean? So I keep talking to myself through everything, because it's not going to be easy. I always tell people now, I say, it's not easy because I hate waking up early. But I know if I don't wake up early, I'm not going to be a champion.
That goal.
It's going to just keep slipping and slipping and slipping until it's gone. So for me, I've always tried to be on top of things, and anything I need to do to get there, I will just push and work as hard as possible.
So it sounds like me that you're the type of person who, if you just have to sacrifice it, whatever the habit or the lifestyle you have, if you have to put it in check, you put it in check and you keep it moving.
Yes, definitely. So one of the things with other people, so me and my coach have an understanding. I'm a type of person that I need a break at some point. So I'll work for 3 months and coach will say, all right, I'll give you 3 weeks you still have to train, but I'll let you enjoy yourself. So we have always understood each other, and that's why it works, because some people feel like you have to work. Sometimes you need a break to refresh, and then you can go back into it. So that's how me and my coach work. He will give me, like say, Christmas to New Year's, and then he ropes me back in, and then after 3 months, he'll give me a little bit more time. So I have time. I know that at some point, he's gonna go, all right, go, relax, refresh, and then come back.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it helps because I know I'm gonna have a time to relax and not just all the time.
Always going.
Yeah.
All right. So you just mentioned about, going and knowing when to stop. You get up, you tell yourself, okay, this is your goal. You are now retired. Yeah. You're not the athlete, but you are now the businessman. Do you get up with the same, and of course you're a daddy as well. So do you get up now with the same sort of drive for whatever goal, or you kind of find that it's a little bit easier?
I think it's a little bit easier, you know what I mean? Because the good thing I have NJ. So, you understand? So, NJ is an early riser. So, he takes the early meetings and check all the early emails and deal with everything until I get up. Then I'll go meet him and we'll discuss if there's anything that we need to talk about or sign off on and stuff like that. So, it's much easier now that I've retired, but it's still you still have to push and know what you're doing and make smart decisions, because one bad decision sometimes can really go left.
Right, no, for sure. And in making those decisions, did you ever fear, and even the transition, we have a lot of persons who are watching who might be transitioning, they might be pivoting, they're starting a new business, and there's like a lot of fear, and they have a lot of challenges. You transitioning from a pro athlete to like a businessman, did you ever have fear that maybe I'm a master on the field, but maybe this is on the track, but maybe this is not where I will probably do my best? Did you ever have that fear? And if you did, how were you able to overcome that?
For me, definitely. But the key thing is to ask questions, you know what I mean? You're having a masterclass now. This is very important, you know what I mean? We didn't know everything about business, but we asked, you know what I mean? We ask questions if we're not sure if we should do this. We'll ask a more successful person to understand their mind also, you know what I mean? So for me, this is very important for anybody who's going into business. Just starting business, to understand what they need to do, what they need not to do. So for me, I had the fear, but because of who I am generally, I can pick up my phone and call almost anybody and get advice on what not to do or what to do. But we have always tried to make smart decisions. And for me, I must say, NJ has really helped me also to stay on track and to help me to build an empire, as I said.
Lovely. Like, I really rate the relationship. And it's not something that you see all the time in terms of one that thrives and you can see growth across the board and just respect for both parties. Like, I really absolutely, I really respect that. Mentors. You heard us talking about a mentorship program. You heard us talk about the importance of people who are more successful, who have resources and have the knowledge, sharing. As you have been going through your journey, or even now, do you have any body or bodies who form a part of your mentorship program, whether they are virtual or physical?
For me, I think somebody that always stands by my side is Glenn Mills. For me, he's a very smart individual. If you have a conversation with Coach Glenn Mills, you will understand. So that's somebody that I've always communicated with. No matter what, we're like best friends. You know what I mean? So we talk, we laugh, but if I need information or if I'm not sure about something, most of the time I'll bounce things off Coach, you know what I mean? As I said, I have NJ in my corner, and NJ does most of the business side. He knows people, so we bounce off different people throughout life. So that's one thing that we always keep focus on work on.
When it comes to motivation and discipline, how important is it to keep ego in check? I saw the documentary, like I see you smile. I watched your documentary. I was there for the premiere. And it's funny, you spoke about Glenn Mills, but we saw the relationship between you and Glenn Mills, and we realized that even though you are Usain Bolt, anywhere we call your name, anywhere in the world, people bow down to you as Usain Bolt, and yet still, you still understood that Coach Glenn Mills was here, and you had to respect it. How important is it that even though you are a superstar, for you to still build your empire, you need to know when to keep that ego in check?
Yeah, definitely. For me, you have to understand, I'm still learning. A lot of people forget where they're coming from and don't understand that. Glenn Mills has been doing this for 40 odd years before I came around. You understand? He knows things that I probably don't know right now. You understand? For just years. So for me, I've always given him respect. He has proven himself as one of the best coach. So I'm going to give him his respect. So I've always just believed in him no matter what. If he tells, I always say to people, if coach tell me, tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to run 8 seconds, I'll believe him. That's how much I believed in my coach, because he has proven himself to me. And another thing is that it's just the way I was growing up, to have respect for people and to understand that no matter how big you are, people are still people. True. You have to have respect. You never know what you will do for little kids just by saying hi or hello or just having a conversation. So for me, in different ways, I've just been this person throughout my life.
That's beautiful. Never change that. Question. I usually feel bad as a person just watching you guys, you train. Let's look at the Olympics. People train for 4 years. Athletes train for 4 years. They get to Olympics, biggest stage ever, have injuries, have false start, all sort of things. And I feel crushed for them. You experienced a false start years ago. We know the training, we know the rigor, we know the routine, we know that your mindset is ready, you are disciplined, you're motivated. You get there, you have that false start. I don't know what might have gone through your head at that moment, but How did you manage that entire process, bounce back, and still remain motivated afterwards?
For me, it's always to learn from the process. That season, I got injured and we could not figure out exactly what the problem was. And when we actually figured it out, it was like last minute. It was like 2 months to go before the World Championships. And now I'm in panic mode.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no matter what coach said to me, coach like, no, don't worry, we have time, don't worry. We have time, you'll be fine. But it kept on playing on my mind throughout the whole season. And one of my biggest problems was my start. And I could not get it right, My coach said, listen to me, stop worrying about your start, you'll be fine. But I pressured myself so much because it was normally, if I get injured, I have 4 months, 5 months, I have time. But no, it was crunched, you understand? So for me, it was just played on my mind so much. So when I actually got there, I wasn't myself. I wasn't the chill, relaxed person I was.
You weren't at ease.
Exactly. So when I first started, it really kind of woke me up. The surprising thing about it, when I actually went back to the warm-up area and I saw my coach, all he said to me, up to this day, it was like, are you okay, champ? I was like, yes. And he said, you sure? I was like, yes. But I understood why I first started, because I learned from a mistake. I know it was just the fact I wasn't myself. I wasn't relaxed and I wasn't confident and I didn't believe. And that was the issue why I first started. And I learned from that. And I knew it would never happen again.
Nice. And what is the most challenging part about remaining consistent with all of this pressure? There's the expectation of the country. There's the expectation of your rivals who you are the man to beat. There's all of this pressure around you. What is the most challenging part, or how do you remain consistent despite the pressure?
It comes back to the fact that I'm doing it for myself. You know what I mean? I know that I've worked hard all year, and I know what it takes to be here in this moment. And I always said to myself, if I can work hard to get here, there's no reason why I can't win, you know what I mean? Because I've already put in the work. I've already dedicated, I've already sacrificed so much. So now I'm here, I know exactly what to do. So I pretty much just do it.
Nice.
So it's just the confidence I have in myself and the work and all that I've done leading up to this moment. So I walk out there with confidence.
No, we know. You walk out, you dance out, listen, you do a whole heap of things, you start a new sign and everything. So let us talk about the entrepreneurship, because you really gave us an idea of, what it takes to be a champion. And even with you explaining it here, I don't think people will ever really truly understand what it takes. So we know that as you are rising to the top, naturally endorsement deals are coming. Naturally all of these things are coming. You are attracting this great kind of attention. But now entrepreneurship starts to ring. What sparked it? Was it a moment? Was it a suggestion? Was it a conversation? Was it something you saw on TV that made you say, I'm going to make the switch?
For me, it was definitely a suggestion by the whole team. We sat down when I was talking about retirement and stuff, we sat down like 3 years before, and we were like, listen.
3 years before your retirement?
Yes, we were like, you know what, we need to make a plan. We need to figure out what you're going to do after track and field, because you can't just sit at home and do nothing, no matter how much amount, no matter how much amount of money you have made through your career, you need to have something to do. You understand? And that's where it all started, you know what I mean? And that's the first thing we decided, you know what, real estate is always the safest thing to go into first. And that's where it all began.
So it took suggestion 3 years before. And the reason why you said 3 years before, and I just went, wow, is because a lot of the times people don't plan. And because they don't plan, they fail. I've
seen a lot of athletes. Because one thing in track and in sports in general, you never know when the injury is going to end your career. You know what I mean? And that's when we're like, you know what? We need to make a plan. We can't just be here and be like any other athlete. You have to really make a plan and then try to execute it before you retire.
Nice. And what are some of the lessons that you learned while training and while being a pro athlete? What are some of the maybe top 2 or 3 lessons maybe that you learned while being an athlete that you took now into the world of entrepreneurship and building out that empire?
For me, surprisingly, it's simple, you know what I mean? You have to understand, you have to listen. Understand that you do not know everything. You know what I mean? A lot of people feel like, I know everything, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? You have to understand and take in information to get better, because there's so many people out there that has been successful in business that you have to understand that you have to listen and learn, no matter how much you feel like, you know.
Right.
You understand? And hard work is the key. You understand? You have to work hard no matter what you're doing. Don't feel like it's going to come easy. A lot of people always say, oh, I work hard every day, but there's somebody else out there working harder than you to get on a higher level.
Do you think that there's a misconception, or do you think people think that because you are the honorable Bolt, that entrepreneurship is easy? Because you did say earlier that, for example, because of who you are, you can leverage, you know, who you are to make a call to get the right person. But do you think that people kind of take it for granted that, you know, you don't have to work as hard because you're Bolt and everything just come bath in your lap?
Yeah, people always, even track and field, people always say make it look so easy, but it's not. It's the same thing. You have to always be on your P's and Q's. Although somebody might give you information, what do you do with that information?
Aye.
You understand? So it's not as easy as somebody giving you, say, okay, I'm going to do it. You have to really analyze and figure out exactly how to apply it to what you're doing. So for me, it's not easy, but the good thing, the good thing, I have a good team around us, and we don't just rush into anything. We take our time, figure out exactly what we want, figure out how it looks on the future, if it works with me. So that's how we do our thing.
What's the best advice you've been given in 9.58 seconds?
Oh, my God.
And go.
That's
Best advice, top advice you've ever been given.
My dad told me the first time that anything I want, work hard for it. That's something that always resonated with me. No matter what you want, hard work will get you there.
You have to put in the work.
Man,
you can't just pray and hope that it will just drop in your lap, but you have to put in the work.
That's one thing that stuck with me throughout my entire career. My dad sat me down one day, and this is a man that doesn't talk much. Like when I was growing up, he never sat me down and gave me like inspirational talk. So when he actually sat me down and said, listen, blah, 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 but anything you want, you have to work hard for it. Remember that growing up. And he said it, but he also proved it to me by watching him working hard to provide for my family, the family, and pushing no matter what. He always tried to figure out how he can make my life better and make it easier on me. So although he said it to me, I actually saw it. So for me, that's something that always stuck with me through life. And
that was ingrained.
Exactly. That's why I've always worked hard for what I want.
Big up to Daddy. I always remember seeing your parents, some of your biggest cheerleaders, and you just always running over to them. We're going to go to the questions, as we said earlier on. We're going to take questions from those of you who are viewing. And I have a question here from Adrian Brown on Webinar Jam. Thank you for participating. He asks, luck might not be possible for all. How can I select the right people to be in my corner for success? So let's say you don't really have the opportunity to be in the rooms, you know, with all of the top. You know, how can somebody go along in terms of selecting? Are there certain traits or qualities that they look for in other people?
Is the person who cheers for you. I was watching our interview with Shaggy, and he said something that really the right way. Is the person who cheers for you, who's in your corner and cheers for you, who if you sell a bag juice on the corner, he might come buy from you, not somebody else around the road. You understand? Somebody who supports you and wants to see you do good. Those are the people that you want around you, because you know that they're in it with you and they're happy. You know what I mean? Because we have seen so much people. Your friends, you feel like your friends and them, you sell clothes and them I buy from somebody else.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you have to watch people, you know what I mean, and observe how they act around you when you tell them your dreams and your aspirations and stuff like that.
Yeah, are they feeding the fire, or are they trying to out it?
Exactly, feeding the fire.
Fantastic. And we just want to remind you guys, you send in your questions, make sure you use the hashtag Digicel Masterclass, hashtag Digicel Business, and you will have the opportunity to get your questions here addressed by the great Usain Bolt. You mentioned coaching earlier. And we mentioned Glenn Mills, and you're saying, boy, there's some things that Glenn Mills know that maybe I will never know. Yeah. I am sure a lot of persons would have come to you in the past and even now and say, but you could be a coach. Why not be a coach? Do you see it somewhere in your foreseeable future, or you just know that that is not an area?
It's not something that I want to do. But as I said earlier, why I didn't want to do it.
And you have the patience now. Remember you say you learn the patience now.
That's what I was going to say. Like, patience was one of the biggest things. As a coach, you have to be very patient, because you will get athletes that you have to tell the same thing over and over and over again. I wasn't one of those athletes. I'm just saying. But it's hard for a coach because I'm not going to say I made it easy for my coach. You know what I mean? You had to shout at me at time and say, come on, Usain, stop joking around. Like the time will be up and I was like, coach, all right, give me for 1 more minute rest. You know what I mean? So you have to have the patience to deal with athletes. And for me, I don't have that patience, but now that I have a little one now, I'm learning to have patience. So maybe in the future, I might get to the point where I'm like, you know what? Let's be a coach, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
But before Olympia, no. But no, I'm good.
Right. So I know that you haven't just transitioned from being a pro athlete to an entrepreneur. Everybody knows your love for football, like we all know. Manchester United.
Let's not talk
let's not talk about Manchester. Okay, right. But we know about your love for football, and what we saw was even when you retired from being, a pro athlete, you took a chance on, football. Like you were out there trying out and seeing if you could make the team. Was that intimidating for you, being seen at a high level in track, to now come to football that maybe is not your best sport, and how do people look on that?
No, I was not intimidated at all. I understood that it was a different sport, you know what I mean? And I was pretty much a nobody in this sport. I think the people that I was around were intimidated by who I was. I said to Engine, I said to people that the mistake that I made when I was transitioning football is that I went so far, which was in Australia. I should have stayed in Europe or in England or France, because I got a lot of offers from different places. But because I was trying to get away from the media, because the media, if I stayed in Europe, they were going to always be on top of me.
Right.
So I was trying to avoid, so I went to Australia. And I felt like the coach and a lot of the players were intimidated, or they were like, yo, why are you doing this? You understand?
Yeah.
But for me, it was just a dream. That's something that I wanted to do for years. I was like, you know what, let me try. But that was a mistake I made by going to Australia.
Okay.
But
and
the first thing I said to the coach, I remember he was like, oh, what do you know, or what? And I said to him, listen, as far as you're concerned, I don't know anything. I'm ready to learn and to understand this game. You understand? I'm open, because I learned that from track and field and Glen Mills, that you have to listen and learn and understand. Exactly. So when I started, that's how I started with it. I was like, listen, I'm here to learn, to understand football for a year. This is what I want.
No, it must be interesting. It must be interesting, even as a coach in Australia, to see you come in and be like, teach me. Like, it must be intimidating for them, as you rightfully said. We have a question from Shaniqua Williamson on Webinar Jam, and she asked, what tips do you have for networking in the business world? So for some people, networking is hard, especially if you're an introvert. You're not the person to say, hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so. What do you suggest, or what are the tips you have for them?
But you have to be. That's one of the things that you can't, in business, if you want to network, you can't be shy. You can't be shy. I said this to Shelly and Fraser, because Shelly speaks very well. Very well. I always say, why you don't do this more? But she's so shy. If you see a crowd of people, she goes like this. And I always say, why are you like this? You have to go out there and make people know who you are. But she's shy, but she speaks very well. You understand? I've always said to people, you have to show people your personality. You know what I mean? To make people understand who you are. So to networking, you have to introduce yourself. You have to go to places, try to meet people. That's how you network. But if you're shy, it's not going to work.
Right.
You understand? You genuinely have to go and take chances trying to meet people. You understand?
And get out
saying
of your
hi,
comfort zone.
Yeah, saying hi. You never know. You pass on a card. You never know how far it might go, but you have to try to network in that way.
Might pass a card, and you might end up right there and use and him call you and say, hey, I'd like you to be a part of the team. But I guess what you've always said is that people can't want it more for you than you.
Yes.
And no one's going to put in the work for you unless you actually put some skin in the business
I was telling my cousin, because he's trying to actually be into music as a producer. And I've said to him, listen, I can't want it for you. You have to want it more than me. But I can help you to get to the level, but you have to actually want it and put in the groundwork, and then I'll help out. So that's how it is.
Nice.
You have to want it.
And what are just some of the tips, as you just gave a tip for networking, but even now as you do your goals, just some tips for persons listening in terms of that discipline and that motivation. I don't know if you meditate, I don't know if you take some time, I don't know if you do yoga. Saw you do Pilates once at Spartan Health Club and
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out very well. I wish we had the video to show you guys. It didn't work out well. But what are some of the tips that you would probably tell, I mean, apart from listening, now you want to put in the work to be an entrepreneur, what are some of the other tips in terms of discipline that they need to apply?
For me, it's always not to rush decisions. I think a lot of time people, it might seem like a great idea, but do your research and to make the right decisions. I think that's very important, you know what I mean? As I said earlier, try to get good people around you to really support and to push your dream, you know what I mean? Networking again, which is very good. And just to commit. I always tell people, commit to anything you're doing. Don't just half-ass it because you're nervous. Really commit to what you want and always do what you love. If you don't love it, it's most likely it's never going to succeed.
Crash and burn.
Yeah.
As you transition from one thing to the next, whether it's an endorsement deal or whether it is a business venture that you want to do, I realize that you said, for example, when you were retiring, it was a conversation you had 3 years before. How much planning do you put into something before you do it? Does it depend on the venture, or are you someone who you and your team always looking way ahead?
It all depends on the venture, I would say. When we actually got into the scooter business with boat now, for me, it just happened. They called and they're like, listen, we have this idea and we feel like it's going to be good. And in one day we said, listen, yes, I want to be a part of this. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of this. So that's how that started up real quick. So at times there's opportunities that just jumps out at you. And for me, that was one of them that we just jumped on. You know what I mean? But there's other things through life that you take your time, like in real estate. You have to figure out, you buy a piece of land,
yes,
and you're trying to figure out, what should I do with this? You know what I mean? Do I do apartments? Do I do townhouses? Do I do a building? Do I do a BPO? So at times there's different things that you have to take your time and figure out what you need to do and to make this. And this is why you have a good team that you can sit down, weigh the pros and the cons and figure it out.
If you could have a little conversation, if you could go back into time and have a little conversation with young Usain Bolt, what would you tell him?
For me, I would definitely attempt to get serious quicker. I think if I'd gotten serious earlier, surprisingly, I would definitely dominate more. as crazy as that sounds.
More than you already have?
Yeah, as crazy as that sounds, because I was so talented. When I was beating the seniors when I was 17, and I was just joking around because I just had the talent. If I had left high school and just really got into it and really got serious, from the first Olympics that I went to in Greece in 2004, I probably would have won. You know what I mean? But I was not serious. When I got to high school, I was just happy to be in Kingston.
Right.
You know what I mean? Seeing all the lights, the clubs, all these things. I was just happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a young country youth, I don't know much. That was me, but I would tell myself, listen, straight out of high school, get serious, get focused. This is what we're going to do.
Absolutely. I remember recently you posted on your Instagram page, because I am one of the persons who live vicariously through your page, and there was a message that you had about just don't grudge nobody. Oh. You were shooting or filming a video in sub-zero temperatures, and your simple message was, don't grudge nobody. Let us talk about that mentality. You know, whether it is something that we want to consider societal or cultural. Let's talk about people who have no clue about what people go through, but make it their business to be malicious.
For me, surprisingly, a lot of people ask me who troubled me. Like, who troubled me? I was like, no. You know, nobody actually did. I was just there freezing. You know what I mean? And I was running, and all I could think about is like those people saying, when they see you living or driving a nice car or whatever, they're going, oh, look on him, on him. And I was just trying to show people that, yo, you don't know what people have to go through to earn what they earn. Why are you hating? Why not put all this energy that you have into getting something for yourself or trying to better yourself? But I've gone through this for years and years, that people always, they try to find ways to hold you down or to break you. But because I am who I am, and I'm always focused, and I know what I want, no matter what people say around me. As long as you don't,
your business.
I've always said to people that as long as you don't trouble my life or my legacy that I'm trying to build, I don't care what you want to say. So I'm always focused on the prize, and I will continue to work hard I'm trying to build a legacy now for my actual family, for my kids for the future. So that is my focus right now. So no matter what's going on in the background, it doesn't matter.
You became very popular in terms of fame and even fortune. Some of our business, our masters who have been here on the Digicel Business Masterclass have spoken about having a relationship with your money. And that a lot of the times people don't live within their means and they don't know the money. They see the money coming in and them spending it all over, but they don't have a real relationship. Now, I'm looking at you as a youngster, and a lot of youngsters don't come into fame and fortune at the same time. How important was it for you as you are building your legacy, your brand, and your empire, even if the entrepreneurship never comes so quickly? How important was it for you to understand money?
It was very important. As I said, the moment you start getting money, you start spending right away, because especially if you never grew up in money.
That's discipline as well.
Exactly. You just start spending it. And for me, initially, surprisingly, my accountant right now, Mr. Peart, was actually my manager then. And he was tight on money. And I always cuss him and say, yo, I need to spend my money. I work
it's
hard
my
for
money,
it.
I
Exactly.
work for it.
Because I didn't understand, you know what I mean? But he didn't allow me to run through the money. And with the help of my parents also, you know what I mean? Because I was a big man, because I look up to my parents, I have so much respect for my parents, I really understand and listen to him. And then we sat down and really started discussing like what we're gonna do. Then NJ came on board and we just formulated a plan. You know what I mean? They said, all right, listen, you want to spend money? This is the plan. Well, you always have to save more than half of your money at all times. You know what I mean? So we save 60% of our money, then 20% goes to bills, other business, paying out every other thing, and then they give me 20%. So they said, listen to me, this is it. When it done, it done.
Was that easy? Was that easy accepting at first? Even
no,
if it was something like, was
not
it easy
first.
saying, hold on, so I have this pie,
Yeah.
and me, you're going to look and I get 20%? Was it
At
hard,
this-
and how did you deal with the discipline going forward?
For me, it was just learning over time that I figured out at the end by them showing me a lot of athletes that had gone through life, being rich out of their wildest dreams, and then 5 years after they retire, broke. You know what I mean? I think 2 years of me fighting them, and they really said, no, we need to talk to you soon. They brought that to me and said, listen to me, do you want to be this person? And because I didn't want to be this person, I adjusted myself, because I don't want to go back. I enjoy this lifestyle. You know what I mean? So for me, I enjoyed it, and I want my kids, because I want to have more, but I want them to grow up.
Men always say, I want to have more. I love how Usain just said, I want to have more. Hilarious. So continue.
You know what I mean? So for me, that was when I was like, you know what? I really need to stick to the budget. And from then on, I've always really just stick to this, because I want to make sure I don't go broke.
When it comes to generational wealth and legacy, because we're speaking about money, and I saw it again from I Am Bold, how important, you said about having the right team, how important is it for you not to have yes people, but to have people who will challenge and who will be the rebels, if you want, or the troublemakers, to say, we hear you, we know who you are, but no. How important is it to have those people in your corner?
Oh, very, 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 very important. And I think one of my, NJ, for me, is that person, you know what I mean? And it's easy for me to trust him, because we grew up together so well, and he lets me live. So the moment when he comes to me and say, hey, I know something's actually wrong, why he's actually saying no to this. You know what I mean? So for me, NJ is that person, but they need somebody there to can say, no, we can't do this, or no, we're not going to go there, or you're spending too much now. So for me, you definitely need somebody like that, because when you have money and you enjoy living, you tend to go overboard at times. You don't even notice, because you're having so much fun and
And
everything
it's
is
a part
going
of the
well.
lifestyle.
Exactly. So it's good to have somebody to rein in that time to say, listen, no, we can't do this.
Nice. Let's talk about COVID-19. We've seen how unprecedented times, COVID-19 comes in. I know that you have even, you have donated over the years, but certainly I realize what you have done even recently. How important is it to always pay it forward and always give back and always sow seeds?
For me, it's very important. You know what I mean? Throughout my life, I've always said to people that I know the struggles because I've seen it. I wouldn't say I've gone through to an extent, but I struggled a little bit. But I've seen it firsthand with people I go to school with, you know what I mean? Or just hanging out with other people and listening to their stories. So I understand that a lot of people go through a lot of things. So for me, I've always tried to help, not just by my charity and my foundation, but just personally. Because people call me, you're surprised how much people call me.
Oh, no, I
but
can
if I can help, I'll help. You know what I mean? I help a lot of people throughout my life, but I understand what people go through, and it's very good to give back. And it feels good also.
Nice. What have you learned most about COVID-19 as a man who is now, you know, building an empire? You are an entrepreneur. You might be looking at other ventures, and COVID-19 has kind of taught a lot of us lessons. What are some of the lessons that you have learned in 2020?
For me, COVID-19 has really gave me time. I would say it hasn't given me time because I travel so much. When I was running, I used to travel a lot. For me, COVID-19 has affected everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, just like it affected me, everybody. Me worse other people than actually me, but for me it has given me time to spend with my family and my friend because I've stepped back, but it has slowed business, you know what I mean, because with sponsors I travel to do shoots and to go around the world, so that has slowed for me, but it has made me appreciate to slow down and to enjoy life and spend a lot more time with Pia now. Call her Pia.
Pia.
So I spend a lot more time with Casey and Pia right now.
Nice.
So it has really slowed down my life.
Nice.
Really.
No, that's beautiful. No, it's funny you said, Pia, before we came on, you know, we're joking and I was saying, no, with a name like Usain Bolt, how could you possibly be slow? Now, the name Olympia, that is a massive name when you talk about speaking, and I believe in giving your children names that speak over their lives. What do you hope for her? You know, you've experienced discipline and motivation. How do you plan on passing on that baton figuratively to her and your other kids that you're going to have?
So I remember when we were deciding the name. For me, it took a while for me, and I've always, when Casey decided, because when we were talking about it, it was like, if it's a boy, I'll name the boy. If it's a girl, you get to name the girl. And when she said, I like Olympia, and I was like, oh, God. I said, do you understand the pressure that you're putting on our daughter right now? You know what I mean? Because with a name like Olympia, lightning bolt, people are going to look.
She has to be the fastest girl in the class, you know, in the school.
And then our father it's... And I was like, you know what? All I can do is just encourage her and help her to mold her into a perfect human being as much as I can, be there as much as my parents was there for me, and just to push her. You know what I mean? People ask me if I'm going to allow her to do track and field. I would tell her not to do it. Track and field, yes.
Why?
Surprisingly.
Why? No, I have to ask you why.
Track and field is intense. It is so intense, and because it's an individual sports, you can't get on the track and go, oh, I don't feel it today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Or it's not my fault, it's the team.
Or half they do it today. You have to always be on point, always pressure. And then the second thing is that her father is one of the greatest athletes ever, you know what I mean? That extra pressure is I believe, because I've seen, I think one of the hardest things for any youngster is your father to do the sports.
Yeah, like a LeBron James.
Exactly, and then you have to follow up on that. It's going to be hard because everybody's going to expect you to be great.
And to compare as well.
And they'll always compare you to your father, your mother. So.
But if she decided to be an athlete, you'd be her greatest coach.
Yes, for sure. I would not want to be a coach. I think parents should always stay away from being coaches.
Okay.
I personally feel like they should pass if you can help and if you see things, but when you are parent and a coach, it's too much for the kid, I personally feel.
You personally feel that?
I will be our mentor, you know what I mean? Tell her, like, keep working hard, this is what you should do. But I feel like somebody should coach her.
What's next for you? Do you even know? Can you even tell us, considering you and your team always, planning?
No, right now we're mostly focused on music. We're working on a project coming out.
Very cool.
You understand? With me and NG have an EP coming out. Surprisingly,
What you saying?
a little thing. 'Cause people don't expect us, and we also have a juggle. That's what I was asking him earlier. Like, did we actually name it? Because we didn't actually give the juggle a name, but it's something that we enjoy doing. It's something that we're doing, and we're still in real estate. We have a building that we're planning to do in Kingston again.
Nice.
Something we're just trying to figure out the fine details as to what exactly we want to do. As I said, COVID slows everything down.
Correct.
So, yeah, there's a few things that we're doing.
For the persons who might be watching, the young professionals, the entrepreneurs, the business people, who have been told that they have to specialize in one area. There are gurus who will tell you, specialize in this one area, be the best in this one area, be the thought leader and the authority in this one area. But then we have people like you who are multi-potentialites, who are, spreading their tentacles into different things. What is your advice to persons who might be feeling like they need to do one thing versus many?
I feel like at the start, you should figure out what you love. I think when you have a successful business and it's growing, then you can branch out and do other things. But I feel like at the start, you should put all your energy into one thing that you love and that you want to grow. And when it gets to the point where you're happy, then you can venture off and give a little bit of energy to something else that you want to try. You know what I mean? But personally, at the start, I feel like you should really buckle down, figure out one thing, this is what I want to do, get it off the ground, get it to a certain level where you are comfortable, say, you know what, this will continue building and continue growing, and then you venture off into something else.
I couldn't have asked for a better answer. We're closing up, we're wrapping up. We're also coming to the end of 2020. Is there anything you have to say to anyone, everyone who is watching, whether they're entrepreneurs or not?
I just want to say it's been a tough year. You know what I mean? It's been a tough year, but the fact that you're still here is that it's not as bad. You know what I mean? So you just have to just continue pushing through, continue working hard, making plans, because as you can see, the vaccine is coming out now. So you know that in 4 or 5 months, the world will be back to the same thing. So just hold on and continue working hard and just stay in focus. And just remember, my motto is that anything is possible, don't think limits. So don't limit yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Limitless. There are no impossibilities where the Honorable Usain St. Leopold is concerned. Thank you so very much for passing through. I know you're busy, being a daddy and everything else, but thank you so very much. Don't forget, today is the final day for you to register for the mentorship program. So you need to visit digicelbusiness.com, ensure that you're following Digicel Business page on LinkedIn, and make sure that you are registered for the Digicel Business Masterclass series. Listen, together we can inspire and aspire to be so much more, as he said, limitless. So on behalf of the entire Digicel Business team, we'd like to thank you for being here over the past 7 weeks. We certainly hope it has helped you in some way, shape, or form. I am Terry Carell, and we thank you so very much for making this groundbreaking series an absolute success. Until next time, stay safe, be well. We'll see you next year. Take care.